Okay. Hi guys. So in today's session we will be continuing with chapter 13, which is magnetic effects of electric current. In today's session we will start by looking at the force on a current carrying conductor. Okay, first let us see a video of the experiment. So the experiment setup is what you see in figure 13.12 in your left, to your left. So we're going to see what the experiment is and how it works and what happens in the experiment, and along with that we will also study the Fleming's left hand rule. All right all right. So this is the experimental setup for the experiment, the force on a current carrying conductor experiment. So if you look at the setup, what you can see is this U-shaped magnet, okay, which has a south pole and a north pole. So this U-shaped magnet is actually called a horseshoe magnet because this is how a horseshoe looks, okay. This rod which you can see, okay, with points A, B, that rod is an aluminum rod. So you have this wire which is connected to the aluminum rod. So now what we're going to do is switch the switch on so that the current flows through the aluminum rod, and depending on the direction of current we will see what happens in the vicinity, like in the presence, okay, because now there is a magnet near the aluminum rod. Let us see what happens to the aluminum rod when you start sending current through it, okay. So now this time positive terminal is connected to point A, and negative terminal of the battery is connected to point B. So when we switch the switch on, current will flow from positive to negative, which means from A to B, okay. Let us see what happens. So from A to B, when current flows from A to B, the rod moves or shifts towards the north pole, okay. And if we were to switch the terminals, so that now the positive terminal is connected to point B and the negative terminal is connected to point A, what happens? The rod moves towards the south pole of the magnet. All right. So this is what we learned from this experiment, that depending on the direction of the current, there is a force which is generated, because of which this aluminum rod gets pushed towards the south or the north pole, okay. Now we know so much. So now if we this is this is the basis for the Fleming's left hand rule, okay. We'll see what the Fleming's left hand rule is now. So what is Fleming's left hand rule? We are going to learn Fleming's left hand rule because that will tell us the direction of the force in the presence of a magnetic field, okay, on an on the conductor, on the current carrying conductor. What is the direction of the force in the presence of an electric field? All right. So what is Fleming's left hand rule? According to Fleming's left hand rule, if you point your index finger in the direction of the magnetic field and your middle finger in the direction of the current, then the thumb will show you the direction of the force, okay. So that is what it is. So according to this video, like you can see on your left, the blue shaded finger, which is your middle finger, is in the direction of the current. The yellow shaded finger, which is your magnetic field, you use the letter B for magnetic field, is pointing in the direction of the magnetic field. Then the pink shaded finger will show you the direction of the force. Now why do we need to know the Fleming's left hand rule? In the next video we will be in the coming video we will be watching how an electric motor works. Now that we know the Fleming's left hand rule, we will now look at the electric motor. Okay, how an electric motor works. In fans and all in your homes, we have the electric motor. That is how the fans and all work in our homes. Okay, so the fans, the drilling machine, or electric car, all of these work with an electric motor inside them. So now let us look at how it works. But before that, let us see something. Okay, so this we're going to learn how an electric motor works. First, let us look at the setup. Okay, just what do you say, think of this as the north end of a magnet, and this as the south pole. Okay, the south pole and the north poles of the magnet are seen, and as we already learned, magnetic field lines go from the north pole to the south pole. So the field lines are going to the south pole. Okay, and what more do we need? Okay, assume there is a wire, okay, which is shaped like this, a rectangular wire which is shaped like this in the in between the magnetic field. Okay, it is within the magnetic field, and assume these arrows that you can see, that is the direction of flow of the current in this metallic rectangle. Okay, in this rectangle, this is how the current is flowing. So it is going from the via like this. Okay, and then it goes to your right, and then it takes like a turn to the right, and then it comes down, and it goes to the left, and it goes up, and it goes to the right. So this is how the current is flowing in this particular rectangle. Okay, now let's wait for, okay, hold on, the left hand rule we are going to use now. So you can see the hand over here, right? This is the left hand rule, right? This is Fleming's left hand rule, that if the B is the magnetic field, okay, the index finger, which is your index finger, this B, okay, is in the direction of the magnetic field, I is the direction of the current, and F is the direction of the force. Okay, so when there is a conductor which has a magnetic field to your right and current is flowing towards you, okay, then the force is upwards. Okay, so now let us see how we are going to use this in the in this particular rectangle. Let's try and put the, now we have the magnetic field and the current, so let us see what direction the force will be in. Okay, so let's keep the hand over there. So as you can see, the hand is now in the, so in the direction of the current, you can see the the middle finger. The direction of the magnetic field is your index finger. Okay, so the direction of force is upwards. On the pink line, the direction of force is upwards. All right, so we can see that. Now let us look at what happens, how it looks on this side. So on the in the blue line, okay, as you can see, the middle finger, which is the direction of the current, is towards you. Okay, it is along the blue line, as you can see. The index finger, which is the direction of the magnetic field, is to your left, okay, to the south pole of the magnet, and you can see that the current, the force is the force applied is downwards, right? So now what is the final conclusion? That in the pink line the force is upwards, and in the blue line the force is downwards. All right, so there you go. This is how it looks, right? You have the force on the blue line downwards and force on the pink line upwards. All right, so if this was how the force was to be applied, what happens, let us see. Okay, let us take a normal board, and let us apply force downwards on your right side and a force upwards on the left side. Okay, let us see what happens. So there you see, this is the board which we are going to assume that the edges of the board is this rectangle, is the same thing as this rectangular coil. So if he is applying force on the left upwards, and on the right downwards. Let us see what happens. It moves in the clockwise direction, okay, because of the force applied. So now we know that this rectangular coil will also move in the clockwise direction. So we know that the coil will rotate in the clockwise direction, right? This much information we already learnt. We saw how that happens, because on the pink line the force is upward and on the blue line the force is downward. But it will move in the clockwise direction only if, when the blue line is near the North Pole, the force is in the downward direction, and when the when the pink line is near the South Pole, the force is in the upward direction. Otherwise, what will happen? Now in this case, the force is in the upward direction in the pink line, which is close to the North Pole, and it is in the downward direction in the blue line, which is close to the South Pole. So how will it move? It will rotate backwards. It will rotate in anti-clockwise direction, right? So what do we have to do? How do we fix this issue? Now what is happening is that it is, see, now look at the board over here, okay? Now this is how it keeps rotating in the clockwise direction. But now for that, the force on the right side has to be downward, and on the left side has to be upward. If not, it will not rotate in the clockwise direction, right? So we want that to happen. So how do we do that? Okay, now with the current flowing in that direction and the magnetic field, we know that the force is upward, and with the magnetic field in the pink line, same way in the blue line, we know that the force will be downward because of the Fleming left hand rule. So let us see what we can do to make the force go downward in the pink line when it is close to the North Pole, and upward in the blue line when it is close to the South Pole. So this happens. It is now rotating backward, right? Which we don't want it to do, because in a fan, how does it go? It doesn't go left 1 second and then right another second, right? It goes always in the same direction. So what can we do? Alright, now according to the Fleming's left hand rule, the current direction, the magnetic field direction, force is upward. We want the force to be downward. So let us change our hand. So now that we have changed our hand and the force is downward, okay, so you can see how the thumb is pointing downward and the magnetic field, the index finger is still in the direction of the magnetic field, but look at the middle finger, the direction of the current has changed. So what have we learned? That if we can change the direction of the current when in the pink line, when it is close to the North Pole, then it will keep rotating. Alright, so we have learnt this. We have understood that this is how it works. So if we can change the direction of the current, then the direction of the force will also change. Same way, even in the blue line, we have to change the direction of the current so that the direction of the force changes, right? So that this happens. Where once the blue line reaches next to the North Pole, it should now again, the direction of the current should change. It should, the force should be downward, correct? Same way even in the pink line. Like this it should be. So this is what we needed to happen. That in every half turn, it should change the direction of the current so that the direction of the force changes. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect the ring, the rectangular ring, to a battery. Okay, as you can see over here, to a battery. The pink line is connected to the positive terminal and the blue line is connected to the negative terminal, which is why the current is flowing in this direction, correct? So now let us see what will happen if the coil were to turn. Now when the coil turns, what is happening? As you can see, the wire is overlapping. It is tangling, correct? It is creating a cross. But we cannot make it create a cross, right? If it creates a lot of crosses, then how will this rectangular coil keep rotating? So what is the solution to that? It's not just creating a cross. So what could be the possible solution to that? What we are going to do is we are going to disconnect, okay, the rectangular coil from the battery. Now we have disconnected it, and then what we will do is we will put a ring over there, so that the ring rotates. We'll put a ring over there and we will attach brushes over here. These carbon brushes, okay, are what will touch the ring. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let us as you can see in this picture, okay, to your bottom right, there is a brush and there is a ring. Now if this ring were to rotate, the brush is touching the ring, right? So if the ring were to rotate, the brush will not rotate with the ring. The brush will stay in position and the ring will keep rotating. Okay, another thing to note in this ring is that it is half, like it is cut, right? There are holes over here that you can see. There is a pink line. The pink half of the ring is connected to the pink line and the blue half of the ring is connected to the blue line. Now you'll see why these holes are there. It's actually quite amazing. Okay, so now when it rotates, the wire will not tangle, okay, and the brushes are touching these rings. So when this brush touches the pink ring, it is connected to the positive terminal, and when this brush touches the blue ring is connected to the negative terminal. Okay, now we're going to see what will happen when the ring is turning. So let's let it turn. Now it's turning and the brushes are still in position, so no tangling issue. Okay, now let's wait until the ring turns a little bit more. So now the ring turned, and as you can see, this brush which was touching the pink line before is touching the blue line, and this brush which was touching the blue line before is touching the pink line. Another thing that we have to remember is that this brush, the brush on your left, is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, and the brush on your right is connected to the negative terminal. So the current will always flow in this direction. Okay, so now when this brush, which is the positive brush, is touching the blue ring, it will make the blue line have positive, will be positive, correct? So what is happening? Now the blue line is positive, which means the direction of the current will change. So the hole in between, these gaps in between the rings, is so that we can help change the direction of the current. Why? We learnt already before that when the pink line comes near the north pole, the direction of the current in the pink line should be downward, which is why we're doing this. Okay, so now let us see what happens. Because of the change in terminal between the two brushes, the current also changed. So the force also changed. The current direction changed and the force direction changed. So let's see how it works. See how it is working? In every half rotation, the direction, the ring which is touching the brushes changes, and so the line also changes. Okay, so the direction of the current also changes, and therefore the direction of the force also changes. So this is how an electric motor works. In today's class, what all did we see? We saw how the force on a current carrying conductor works. Okay, we saw the experiment with this experiment in which we kept we made current pass through an aluminum rod which is placed in the presence of a magnet. Okay, and we saw how the force behaves, and we came up with the Fleming's left hand rule, okay, which is what we can see in this figure 13.13. And then we saw how an electric motor works. The electric motor works very dependent on the Fleming's left hand rule. Okay, now what we're going to learn is we're going to learn about domestic electric circuits. What does that mean? Electric circuits are okay, so in your home, any electric device works because of this domestic electric circuit. Okay, it is because of these domestic electric circuits that the light in your home, in your classroom, in your home, all of these work, the fans work. Okay, so a few key things to note about domestic electric circuits is what we will study today. So in a domestic electric circuit, we will see a picture in the next slide. But before that, just remember that the black line is the negative line. It goes to the, it's like the negative terminal of the battery. Or the neutral, it is called neutral also. The red line is the positive line or the positive terminal of the battery, called the live wire. And then there is a green line, which is the earth line. Okay, what the green line does, we will see in like towards the end of this particular slide. So if the red wire and the black wire touch, it is called short circuiting. Okay, what happens is when the red and the black wire touch, it means that the red and the positive and the negative terminal in the battery are connected. That means what? That so much of that's a very bad thing. Okay, because if you just connect the positive and negative of the battery and you're not powering any device, you're simply wasting power. So to prevent short circuiting and to prevent like we use fuses. Remember how fuses worked? We learnt that in the previous chapter, Joule's heating effect. So how do fuses work? A large amount of current, when it is placed in between a circuit, right? And when a large amount of current flows through it, the heat due to the heating effect, due to Joule's heating effect, remember I squared RT, because of a large amount of current, the heat will be so much more, like heat will increase. Okay, and the fuse will melt, like that particular wire will melt. That means there is no connection in the circuit anymore, so the current can't flow anywhere. In India, okay, in our country, 220 volt is the potential difference between the red and the black wire. So 220 volt is the kind of like the battery potential difference is 220 volt. Generally, in the case for domestic electric circuits in your homes, there will be two different circuits, okay, for higher power rating and for lower power rating. Now what does that mean? Remember, we learned power is equal to potential difference into current V into I. So higher power rating means higher V is constant. We know that V is 220 volt. So 220 volt, that means high power rating means I is higher current, and lower power rating means I is lower. So which means lower current, lower power rating. Power is directly proportional to the current. Now I told you about the green wire, the earth wire. Now why do we use the earth wire? So if you have any device in your home, okay, which has a metallic body, okay, the body is metal, then what happens is we need to ground it, okay, because metal is a conductor of electricity. We learnt this. So if the metal is a conductor of electricity, even we are conductors of electricity. What will happen is when we touch the metal, okay, if it is switched on, we will get electric shock. So this earth wire is to prevent that electric shock. So what we do is we take this earth wire, okay, we connect a wire to these devices with metallic bodies, and we connect that wire to a metal plate, okay, and we dig it, we bury it, we dig a hole and we bury it deep inside our earth, okay, so that all extra current goes off to the earth. So let's see. As you can see, this is an example. This is a diagram from your textbook itself. So the electricity board fuse, you have the three wires, the black, red and the green wire, the live wire, that is the positive wire, the neutral wire, which is the black wire, and the earth wire, which is the green wire. Okay, remember these three terminal, like plug points in your home where you can put stuff like for charging your mobile phone and all. We will use these plug points, right? These. Another thing that you can see is how they are all connected in parallel. See, the voltage is the same across all of these. Okay, they are connected in parallel so that all the appliances have the same potential difference. Alright, so switches in these devices help them to start or stop the flow of current into the device. Alright, so just remember these three wires, which are very important. That 220 volt is what India gives. Okay, and that generally the devices will be connected in parallel. All right.